I still remember the day I met her. I was standing in the rain outside this old brick apartment building, completely drenched, my phone dead, my car packed with everything I owned. I'd driven 6 hours to this new city for a fresh start, and the person who was supposed to show me the apartment had ghosted me. I was about 30 seconds away from crying when the front door opened and she appeared. She was older than me, maybe early 40s to my 25, with dark hair pulled back in this effortless way that somehow made her look both professional and completely relaxed. She wore jeans and a soft gray sweater, and when she saw me standing there like a drowned rat, her expression shifted from curious to concerned in an instant. "You must be Emma," she said, and her voice had this warm, slightly husky quality that made my stomach do a weird flip. "I'm Diana, your landlady. Come inside before you catch pneumonia." I followed her into the building, leaving puddles on the hardwood floors, apologizing every step of the way. She waved off my apologies and led me up 2 flights of stairs to an apartment with big windows and exposed brick walls. It was perfect. Way too perfect for what I could actually afford. "The listing said $800 a month," I said hesitantly, looking around at the gleaming countertops and the clawfoot tub visible through the bathroom door. "Are you sure that's right?" Diana leaned against the kitchen counter, studying me with these impossibly dark eyes. The listing was accurate, though I should mention, I live in the unit directly below this one. We'll be sharing a building. Some tenants don't like having their landlady so close. "I don't mind," I said quickly. Too quickly. Her lips curved into the smallest smile. "Good," she said. "Then let's get you dried off and signed in." That first month, I barely saw her. I'd hear her sometimes, moving around downstairs, the faint sound of music drifting up through the floorboards. Jazz, mostly. Sometimes classical. Once, late at night, I heard her laughing on the phone, and the sound made me pause in the middle of brushing my teeth. Just listening. I told myself I was being ridiculous. She was my landlady. She was older. She was probably straight. I was just lonely in a new city and projecting onto the first kind person I'd met. Then the kitchen sink started leaking. I texted her about it, apologizing for bothering her, saying I could probably fix it myself if she pointed me toward the shutoff valve. She responded within minutes. "Don't touch anything. I'll be right up." She appeared at my door 10 minutes later with a toolbox, her hair down this time, wearing a fitted black t-shirt that made my mouth go dry. "Let's see what we're dealing with," she said, brushing past me, and I caught the scent of her perfume, something subtle and expensive that made me want to lean closer. I watched her work, trying not to stare at the way her shoulders moved, the competent grace of her hands. She caught me looking and raised an eyebrow. "You okay there?" "Fine," I squeaked. Just, impressed. I can barely change a light bulb." "Remind me to teach you sometime," she said, her voice dropping into this lower register that felt almost intimate. "Everyone should know basic home repair." She fixed the leak in 20 minutes. When she stood up, wiping her hands on a rag, we were suddenly very close in my small kitchen. Close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in her dark eyes. Close enough that when she smiled at me, I felt it in my chest. "There you go," she said softly. "All fixed." "Thank you," I managed. "What do I owe you?" "Nothing. It's included in your rent." She paused, still holding my gaze. "Besides, I like taking care of things, especially things I care about." The air between us felt charged, electric. Then she stepped back, the moment breaking, and headed for the door. "Let me know if you need anything else." After she left, I stood in my kitchen for a solid 5 minutes, my heart racing, trying to convince myself I'd imagined the tension. We started running into each other more after that. She'd be checking her mail when I came home from work. I'd be leaving for my morning run just as she was bringing in groceries. Every encounter felt loaded, full of these long looks and small smiles that made my skin warm. One evening, about 2 months after I'd moved in, I was struggling up the stairs with bags from the farmer's market when I nearly collided with her on the landing. She steadied me with a hand on my arm, and even through my jacket, her touch felt like fire. "Careful," she said, but she was smiling. "Here, let me help." "You don't have to." She was already taking half my bags. "I insist. Besides, I'm curious what you bought. I love the farmer's market." We ended up in my apartment, unpacking vegetables on my counter, talking about cooking. She told me about this amazing recipe for roasted butternut squash. I admitted I mostly lived on takeout and cereal. "That's tragic," she said, laughing. "You have this beautiful kitchen and you're eating cereal for dinner?" "I never learned to cook," I said, shrugging. "My mom tried to teach me, but I was always too impatient." Diana looked at me for a long moment, something shifting in her expression. "What are you doing tomorrow night?" My heart stuttered. "Nothing." "Why?" "Come downstairs at 7. I'll teach you to make a proper meal." She said it casually, but there was nothing casual about the way she was looking at me. "Okay," I whispered. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to her move around below me, wondering what the hell I was getting myself into. The next evening, I changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans and a soft blue sweater that I knew looked good on me. I felt ridiculous. It was just a cooking lesson. With my landlady, who probably did this kind of thing all the time. Her apartment was beautiful. Warm lighting, comfortable furniture, art on the walls that actually meant something. Jazz playing softly in the background, and the smell. God, whatever she was cooking smelled incredible. "Right on time," she said, opening the door wider. She was wearing dark jeans and a wine-colored blouse, her hair loose around her shoulders. "Come in. I hope you're hungry." She'd already started prep work, vegetables chopped, ingredients measured out. She handed me a glass of red wine and guided me to the counter. "We're making risotto," she said. "It requires patience and attention. Think you can handle it? With you as my teacher?" "Definitely." Something flickered in her eyes at that, but she just smiled and moved behind me, reaching around to place a wooden spoon in my hand. She was so close, I could feel the warmth of her body against my back. "The key is constant stirring," she said, her voice low near my ear. "Slow, steady movements. You can't rush it." I could barely breathe. Her hand covered mine, guiding the spoon through the rice, and every nerve in my body was focused on the points where we touched. "Like this?" I asked, my voice coming out breathier than intended. "Exactly like that." Her breath ghosted across my neck. "You're a natural." We stayed like that, her body curved around mine, moving together in this slow rhythm until the timer went off and she stepped away. I felt the loss of her warmth like a physical ache. Dinner was incredible. We sat at her small table, the candles she'd lit casting soft shadows, and talked about everything. Her divorce 5 years ago, my messy breakup that had prompted my move, her work as an architect, my dreams of writing. The conversation flowed like we'd known each other for years instead of months. "Can I ask you something?" she said eventually, refilling our wine glasses. "Why did you really move here? You said fresh start, but there's more to it, isn't there?" I hesitated, then figured what the hell. I was in a relationship that wasn't right. She was controlling, manipulative. I stayed way too long because I thought I couldn't do better. Moving here was about proving to myself that I could start over, be independent. "She," Diana repeated softly. I wondered. Our eyes met across the table. "Does that bother you?" I asked. "No." She held my gaze. "It doesn't bother me at all." The air between us thickened. I could hear my own heartbeat. "Diana, I should tell you something," she interrupted, setting down her glass. "The rent. $800 a month for that apartment. It's less than half what I could get for it. I blinked. What? Why would you? Because when I met you, standing in the rain looking lost and determined and beautiful, I wanted you close. She said it simply, directly, her eyes never leaving mine. I told myself it was just because you seemed like a good tenant, that I was being practical. But I've been lying to myself for months now. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. You've been lying about what? She stood up, walked around the table until she was right in front of me. About why I fix things in your apartment myself instead of sending a handyman. Why I time my schedule to run into you. Why I invited you here tonight. She reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear, her fingers lingering against my cheek. I like having you close, Emma. More than I should. More than is probably appropriate. I think about you all the time, I confessed in a rush. I listen for you downstairs. I take the long way to my apartment hoping I'll see you. I've been going crazy trying to figure out if you felt it too. I feel it, she breathed. God, do I feel it? Then why are we still talking? She smiled, this gorgeous, open smile that transformed her whole face. Then she leaned down and kissed me, soft and slow and perfect. Her lips were warm, tasting of wine, and when I reached up to pull her closer, she made this small sound in the back of her throat that sent heat rushing through me. She pulled back just enough to whisper, "Are you sure about this? I'm your landlady. It's complicated." "I don't care," I said, standing up so we were pressed together. "I've wanted this since the day I met you." She kissed me again, deeper this time, her hands sliding into my hair. I wrapped my arms around her neck, losing myself in the sensation of finally touching her the way I'd been dreaming about for months. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. "Stay," she whispered. "Stay tonight." "Yes," I said simply. She took my hand and led me to her bedroom, and everything that happened next was slow and tender and intense, in ways that made my previous relationship feel like a pale imitation of connection. She touched me like I was precious, like she'd been waiting for this as long as I had. And when I touched her back, learning the map of her body, she whispered my name like a prayer. Afterward, we lay tangled together in her bed, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on my shoulder. "I was so afraid," she admitted quietly. "Afraid you'd think I was taking advantage. Afraid I was reading the signals wrong. Afraid you'd want nothing to do with a divorced 42-year-old landlady." I propped myself up on my elbow to look at her. "Are you kidding? You're the most attractive person I've ever met. Age has nothing to do with it. And you weren't taking advantage. I've been practically throwing myself at you for months." She laughed, pulling me down for another kiss. "I must be oblivious. I thought I was being so obvious." "We're both idiots," I said against her lips. "Apparently." She rolled us over so she was above me, her hair falling around us like a curtain. "But we're together now. That's what matters." I woke up in her bed the next morning to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee. Diana was standing by the window in a silk robe, 2 mugs in her hands, looking like every fantasy I'd ever had. "Morning," she said softly, bringing me a cup. "Sleep well?" "Better than I have in months." I accepted the coffee, watching her over the rim. "So, what now?" She sat on the edge of the bed, running her free hand along my leg through the blanket. "Now, we figure this out. Together, if you want to." "I want to," I said immediately. "But what about the apartment? The rent situation?" "The rent stays the same," she said firmly. "What happens between us personally is separate from our landlady-tenant relationship. Though I should probably draw up an addendum to your lease about dating policies." I laughed. "Is that standard?" "Nothing about this is standard." She set down her mug and leaned in to kiss me, soft and sweet. "But I've learned that the best things rarely are." We spent that whole Sunday together, She made breakfast while I sat on her counter, stealing bites and making her laugh. We took a walk through the neighborhood, and when she reached for my hand, I laced our fingers together without hesitation. We ended up back at her place, cooking dinner together, moving around each other in the kitchen like we'd been doing this for years. I should probably go back upstairs eventually, I said that evening, though I made no move to leave her couch, her arm warm around my shoulders. Should you? She pressed a kiss to my temple. Or you could stay again. And maybe tomorrow night too. And the night after that. Are you asking me to basically move in with you? Eventually, maybe. For now, I'm just asking you to stay close. She turned my face toward hers. I told you, I like having you close. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. And I didn't. We took it slow, learning each other, building something real. Some nights I stayed in my apartment, needing space to write or just to maintain some independence. But most nights I found myself downstairs, in her bed, in her arms, feeling more at home than I ever had anywhere else. My friends thought it was weird at first when I told them I was dating my landlady, but when they met Diana, saw the way she looked at me, the way we fit together, they got it. My mom was thrilled, having worried about me being alone in a new city. Diana's ex-husband sent a surprisingly supportive text when she finally told him she was seeing someone new, someone who made her happy. The thing is, I'd moved to this city looking for a fresh start, for independence, for proof that I could make it on my own. And I found all of that. But I also found something I wasn't looking for, something I didn't even know I needed. I found someone who saw me, really saw me, and wanted me close anyway. Someone who made me laugh, and challenged me and kissed me like I was the most important thing in her world. 6 months after that first dinner, Diana knocked on my apartment door, the one I still technically rented even though I spent most of my time downstairs. When I opened it, she was holding a key. "What's this?" I asked. "A key to my place. Officially." She stepped closer, her eyes soft. "Move in with me. For real. We'll rent out your apartment or keep it as your office space, whatever you want. But come home to me every night." I took the key, my heart so full it hurt. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." She cupped my face in her hands. "I love you, Emma. I think I started falling for you the moment I saw you standing in that rain, and I haven't stopped since." "I love you too," I whispered, and kissed her. There in the doorway between our two apartments, between my old life and my new one. I moved in the next week, turned my old apartment into a writing studio like she'd suggested, and every evening I'd walk downstairs to our home, to the woman who gave me a discount because she liked having me close, who taught me to cook, and to trust and to love again. People say you can't plan for love, that it finds you when you least expect it. They're right. I wasn't looking for her. I was just looking for a place to live, a fresh start, a chance to prove I could stand on my own 2 feet. But sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you need, even when you don't know you need it. Sometimes it gives you a landlady with dark eyes and a warm smile who makes you feel like home. Total_char_count 16,847.